best way to get better at programming is to practice. In this example, we're going to learn about variables and how to declare them in Java. As always, this file is available for download using the link provided below in the description. You can then follow along, or you can work on your own and check your own answer. We'll pause for a second so you can download this file if you would like. Alright, so let's get started. I already got my class and my static main method already created. So what we're going to focus on is variables inside of a method. We're not going to focus on object level variables at this time. We're going to focus just on those found inside of our main method. Now, this is going to work the exact same way no matter what method you have. In Java, we're going to declare our variable data type and then the variable name. So for example, boolean. And this is a true or false value. And then I'll specify something like, for example, manager. And then I can declare a default value. So boolean is our data type. Manager is our variable name. And then we say equals false to give it a default value. My variable names should start with a letter, and they can contain letters, numbers, and underscores. In Java, our variable names are case sensitive, so I want to keep that in mind. I can also do things like say int age, and I'll put a semicolon at the end. You notice we always have semicolons to end our statements. In this case, you notice that we did not declare our variable value. So at this point, the value has not been set. I'll need to make sure I set it somewhere else. I also have floats and doubles. Double is by far the more common. With your doubles and floats, of course, this is a floating point number, and therefore it can have a decimal place inside of it. These are your most common primitive types. You also have char, which is not always used. Char values are enclosed within a set of single quotes. Then we have numerous built-in objects. We're going to look at the one that's most commonly seen, which is a string. As a class data type, string is capitalized, and that's a standard thing with all Java classes. We'll see that more in the future. Now, the difference between strings and characters is strings are enclosed within double quotes. Characters are only a single quote. These are main data types. With these variables, I can then put them into things like a system.out. So for example, I can do system.out.println and then specify name, and it will print out John. However, if I do system.out.println and I specify age, you'll notice I'm going to get an error for this. This is because age has not been initialized with a value. So I've declared the variable, but I've not initialized it. Java will not let you do this. It's a little protection that it does to keep you from getting random values. So I'm going to come up to my line which says int age. And on a new line, I'm just going to say age equals 32. Once I do this, you'll notice that now the error on the system.out.println has been removed. So it's just a quick little reminder, make sure you always initialize your variables before you use it. Now you might say, well, what about those yellow underlines that are provided? Well, those are warnings, and that's just because you've declared a variable, but you're not using it. This is something that Visual Studio Code shows as a warning, just to remind you, hey, do you really need this variable? That's up to you as to decide if you actually need it or not, and maybe you just haven't had a chance to write it out yet, or maybe you used to use it, but no longer need it and can remove it. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If so, please consider giving it a like and look at the other videos in this series on how to get better at programming in Java.